Shocking PPI report. Inflation may be heating up again. Let's break it all down. Wholesale prices surged unexpectedly in November, and we're seeing signals that inflation might be losing its cool-down momentum. Hit that like button, smash subscribe, and let's dive right in. Wholesale prices rose 0.4% in November, blowing past expectations of 0.2%. This matters because wholesale prices reflect what producers charge for goods, which can eventually trickle down to consumers, driving up retail prices. If wholesale inflation remains stubbornly high, it could signal a slowdown in the fight against rising costs, complicating the Federal Reserve's efforts to stabilize prices. The Producer Price Index, or PPI, jumped 3% year-over-year, the largest rise since February 2023. That's a big deal because it could mean inflation is losing steam on its cool-down. But hold on, it gets more complicated when we look at core inflation and the labor market. When we strip out food and energy, the volatile categories, core PPI rose 0.2%, right on target with forecasts. Excluding trade services too, the number drops to 0.1%. But here's the kicker, even with those adjustments, core PPI grew 3.5% year-over-year. That's the highest since February. So is inflation actually cooling, or is it hiding under the hood? Meanwhile, there's trouble in the labor market. Initial jobless claims hit 242,000 last week, way above the expected 220,000 and 17,000 more than the week before. Even worse, continuing claims climbed to 1.89 million, with the 4-week moving average hitting its highest level in over 4 years. Could this labor market weakness force the Fed to cut rates, even as inflation lingers? The Fed closely monitors labor data as a key indicator of economic health. Rising jobless claims and slowing payroll growth suggest the economy could be weakening, which might push the Fed to take action to stimulate growth. If unemployment trends continue upward, the Fed may prioritize supporting the job market over fighting inflation, even at the risk of prices staying elevated. Markets seem to think so. Here's where things get wild. Final demand goods surged 0.7% in November, their biggest jump since February. But get this, food costs alone soared 3.1%. Egg prices, up a jaw-dropping 54.6%. This spike is largely driven by a combination of supply chain issues, seasonal demand, and disruptions in poultry production. Bird flu outbreaks have particularly hit egg-laying hen populations hard, limiting supply and driving prices through the roof. That's right, 50%. And it's not just eggs. Dried vegetables, poultry, and fresh fruit prices climbed too. Earlier CPI data showed retail egg prices spiked 8.2% last month and a whopping 37.5% year-over-year. Despite all this, financial markets are still betting on a rate cut. Futures traders say there's a 98% chance the Fed will cut rates next week. This expectation comes from a mix of factors. Rising jobless claims hint at labor market weakness, while inflation, although persistent, shows signs of stabilizing. Traders believe the Fed may lean toward supporting the slowing economy over maintaining a hard line against inflation. Why? The labor market slowdown has the Fed on edge, even with mixed inflation data. But here's the twist. The conflicting signals could complicate things for the Fed. The Fed looks at the PCE inflation measure, and here's the current estimate. PCE inflation is expected at 2.6% for November, up 0.3 points from October. Core PCE, the Fed's preferred measure, is projected at 3%. With CPI, PPI, and labor data all giving mixed signals, economists are asking, is this a soft landing, or is inflation making a comeback? A soft landing refers to a scenario where the Federal Reserve successfully slows inflation without triggering a major economic downturn or a spike in unemployment. It's the ideal outcome, but it's a delicate balancing act. So, back to that shocking 0.4% PPI surge. Is this the warning sign that inflation is heating up again? Or is it just a blip on the radar? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the Fed will cut rates next week? If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates like this.